All right. Welcome back to the last podcast of the semester. We're here with Cadet Chavez, your new wing commander. And yeah, y'all know who he is already. I'm Cadet Drake. Y'all know me as well. Do you have any opening remarks?
Cadet Chavez, your new wing commander.
Do you have anything?
Like I mentioned before, everybody already heard my spiel. Is like I said, I'm very happy. I'm very honored to be here. It definitely is a privilege. I'm very grateful. I did not expect I would get this position and job, to be completely honest. So still, a little bit shocked, but I'm very excited for what's to come. But yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll just get into it. So to start, we thought it would be a good idea to get some background on you, because people kind of want to know, like, what does my commander like to do?
Right.
Like, it just gives you some of that, like, real personable aspect. So to start, where are you from originally, and how do you like living in San Antonio?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Austin, Texas, and I've been in San Antonio just for college. So I came here 2018, 18 years old, never been to the city besides maybe to the Riverwalk with the family. Completely different city, completely different culture. And it was exciting. I really did. I really enjoy going to new places, exploring it. And so far, I love it here. I stayed here. I thought originally I was going to transfer and do that, the UT CAP program, but I ended up liking it here. I love the detachment. It was great, just a great experience in general. But no, originally from Austin. If you want to get more technical, the suburb, Round Rock. So technically not, but I still say Austin, North Austin. But some people may argue that.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you like San Antonio, and it seems like you like it enough to have stayed.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You're like, let's hang out here. Okay, cool. So how do you think growing up in Texas developed your personality and preferences? Like, what would you say makes you different compared to, your cadet from Minnesota or whatever? Like, what do you think is special about Texas?
Flat out, I guess I've been blessed to live in, Austin's a very diverse city. Same thing with San Antonio. And just the big, Hispanic influence there is. Especially the food. I think we can all argue that the food is the biggest difference, what makes Texas stand out, where did it go? Colorado, you get Mexican food there. I was like, this is not the same. What is this?
No, sir.
No, absolutely not. But more of developing my personality is, you think of Texas, you think of people that are from here. They're hardworking, that country lifestyle, waking up early, all those things. Very polite, I think we're probably people are always saying good morning, even though they don't know you. You'll be walking, you'll be running, you'll be jogging down the street. People will wave. So those small things is what I think what makes Texas just distinguishable. And same with my personality too. I definitely like saying hi, good morning to people, even if I don't know them.
Yeah.
At least I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I'm not even from Texas, and I do that, and I definitely see that. I just think it's really cool to see that little old lady in the grocery store hold the door for her or start talking to her or something, and then she's just catching people off guard, with being just putting positivity out there. It just makes you feel better, makes people feel better, and there's definitely that respect in Texas for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There are, a-holes or whatever you want to say everywhere, but
that is true.
All over the place. But if you can kind of be positive and have a good outlook, like what you said, I definitely agree with that. That's definitely a big Texas thing. Okay, so keeping all this in mind with Texas, is there anywhere you really want to go for your first duty assignment?
Honestly, I think that's anywhere. I think that's the excitement of it. If I stay here, I stay here. I already like the city, I like the state. But if I go somewhere else, like I said, I don't care where. If they put me in Montana, Idaho, place for a population of 2, I'm fine with that. I love the outdoors. But, if they send me, Florida or California, someplace with lots of people, that's fine. I think that's what's exciting. I really don't have a preference. I'm happy anywhere they put me, anywhere.
Nice, cool. That's who was it? Was it General Levitt who came when you might not have been here. Who's the bloom where you're planted general? Was that the other general? I can't remember. There's a general who said that. So it sounds like you're following that philosophy.
Some general.
Which is a good philosophy to have.
Right.
I think Okado's looking it up right now.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so We got the duty assignment. Okay, so more personal stuff. Do you come from a military family?
No, believe it or not, I was telling you this before, briefly, we talked about it, no, both of my parents, they're both immigrants from Bolivia, from South America, so pure Hispanic, nothing whatsoever in the military. In fact, they kind of lash back at it because, in these third world countries, you look at the military as sort of a corrupt organization,
for sure.
a place you go to out of greed and power for yourself. And they didn't understand that at the time, whenever I first told them, like, this is what I want to do. But, they fully support me now. They now understand it more that, we're all here because, again, to protect this country and do it for the better. But no, originally no. No military family whatsoever, first generation. But just to get a tad bit more personal, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so coming from that, I mean, I was going to set it up to ask if the Air Force was an easy choice, because usually you have like, oh, my dad was in the Army, but was the Air Force an easy choice for you? Like, were you like Air Force all the way, or what happened?
Absolutely not. I was actually leaning towards Navy. If UTSA had a Navy program, you would see me over there with Cadet Andrade.
The Pacific Ocean?
In the Pacific Ocean, in the USS 842 or something, But no, originally no, it was not my first choice at all. And it was sort of, again, with my parents kind of just pushed me towards the Air Force because I guess they did their own research and they were like, we hear really good things about the Air Force. Give it a look and this and that. And when I decided to come here, at least to UTSA, I was like, there's only Air Force and Army. And I was like, I don't think Army really fits my personality, Not saying it's a bad branch. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful place. Great people there. I know people in the Army ROTC program. But yeah, no, it was not an easy choice, but I grew into it. I love it. It's great. I'm here now. Like I said, I'm very blessed. I'm happy I can speak to you about it and hopefully everybody else to get to know me more personally.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, cool. So you said your family is from you come from an immigrant family. So where's your family from? Like, what language does your family speak? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're from Bolivia. Anytime I say that, people are like, "Is that in Africa?" I'm like, "No,
what?
That's in South." Yeah, believe it or not, they're like, you get some crazy because people don't really hear about this country.
Yeah.
It's in South America. It's a landlocked country. I visited it. I used to go every summer. They speak Spanish, so I speak fluent Spanish. That's how I communicate with my parents. And, I can read it, write it fluently, all that good stuff. But, no, I really enjoy it. Just to kind of touch on it, and, it was a big culture shock when I visited it for the first time as a kid,
mm-hmm.
seeing where my parents came from, their upbringing. Mm-hmm. Definitely, humbles you down a lot. Makes you grateful for the small little things,
Yes.
Being able to just sit here and talk to you, not worry about
yes.
what am I going to eat next?
Yeah.
The lights are on, the water, things like that. That was the biggest thing, just turning on the faucet and just water pouring down is a luxury on its own. Because anytime I would stay at my aunt or uncle's house, you have to pump the water at a certain time of the day, and I would be showering, and then it cuts off, and then the power goes out, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Time to dry off.
It makes you look at the stuff people complain about here, and you're like, really? Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Really?
And that's why
about that?
Yeah, no. And that's why I always it is a privilege to be here, always just be grateful for what you have.
I love that mindset.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I definitely think more people could benefit from that kind of mindset. Even if their family's not from somewhere else, go somewhere, visit, travel, go see what other people have to, or how other people live, and it'll make you definitely humble you. Cool. Okay. So you're here now, and what do you do? Okay, so when you're not working, doing ROTC or schoolwork, what do you like to do?
Oh boy. Like I said, I'm from Austin, so I like all that hippie stuff, I like to take long walks, long hikes, things like that. But besides that, I'm a big movie guy. I go to all those movie festivals they have, those hole-in-the-wall comedy clubs. I love small things. I love the fine arts.
Okay.
I have a passion for that. I love watching shows, plays, all those things, and that's usually what I do in my free time. Besides that, besides the regular, playing sports, all that normal jazz. But
That's
those are
cool.
the key characteristics, at least for that.
Do you have any favorite comedians?
Oh, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's hilarious.
Classic.
That man's so funny. I watched him live. He came to Austin about 2 years ago, I think. I think he did a Netflix special there. It was so funny. So funny. Great guy. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. Okay, nice. Sweet. All right, and then to wrap up the personal section, what is a little known or interesting fact about you that most people don't know?
Oh, man.
That one can definitely, you can take a second. 'Cause,
Okay.
I know if someone asked me that, I'd be like, I don't think about myself like that. So
Right.
So we can come back to it if you need to.
Okay,
but-
yeah, sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
think
keep it
about
in mind. I'll
something.
keep it in mind.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we'll get into some of the more serious stuff, some ROTC background. So
Okay.
maybe like some lessons you've learned in ROTC, what jobs you've had, things like that. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Okay, so to start, we're going to get into Wing Commander stuff, but to start, what were some lessons you learned this semester working with FTP? Like, that you hadn't, maybe something that you didn't realize before. You're like, oh, wow, like, you learned something from FTP specifically.
Okay, absolutely. The biggest thing was, I remember when me and Cadet Pantai, we sat down, like they finally announced the org chart, and we met up and did our 14-week plan for FTP. And the big mindset behind it is, again, just to prepare people for what's to come, because it's such an important thing for anybody's ROTC career, just their career in general in the Air Force. You know, it's a stepping stone that we all have to take. And, you know, it's definitely well if we prepare them as best as I can and we can so that they can learn from their mistakes. But the biggest main lesson I learned was feedback. Before I was a flight commander, but I think I used to really sugarcoat things. You know, I wasn't really too direct to the point. I kind of, you know, sprinkled stuff. And that's good too. For certain people, certain situations, you have to do that. But at least with this semester, with it being so fast tempo, all this stuff, you know, that was something I learned about myself and learned, like, a big thing is people just want to know, what are they doing bad? What can I improve, you know, with this short amount of time? And my personality is, people do know, I'm a nice guy, I promise, you know? So it's very hard to tell people all the bad stuff they're doing, but also providing them a solution to it so that they can get better at it. And that was always hard to do, especially just on the spot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what ROTC does, you know, they put you in uncomfortable situations, you know, and you have to do these uncomfortable things, and you get better at it, and progressively got better. But that definitely was one of the biggest things is feedback, not trusting people, you know, whether, I don't know if the FTP staff is listening, I guess some people would say I micromanage-ish. I just really like things to be the way it is, but just trusting people to do what you tell them to do was a big thing for me to let go, especially this semester as the squadron staff level. You have to, you know. There was several times where I wanted to get involved and, you know, steal the flight commander's thunder and, you know, do it my way, but you can't. You know, deep down it hurt. I'm like, I really want to get in there, but that doesn't help anybody, you know.
Definitely.
So that was a big lesson too, just sort of like letting your people do their thing, and just trusting them. That's the biggest thing, you know, trust. Because at the end of the day, if they do something wrong, we're responsible since we're the squadron commanders, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So those were the two biggest main lessons, at least from that. And I think that answered the question.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, so then that coming off that, like, how challenging was it, like, compared to what you thought? Was it, like, harder than you thought? Were you like, oh, this is going to be rough? How was that mindset with all that, like, being hard?
I knew it was going to be challenging. However, I thought towards the last couple of weeks,
Get easier.
Things will get easier, you know.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we made it. Congratulations, EA slots. But, you know, life happens, especially with the AFPC board and the EA selection rate this semester. Big curveball, big challenges. You know, we had everything planned out, but nothing really does go to plan. So that was the challenging part. You know, it's not over yet. You know, I just finished typing up some stuff for FTP for the class that's about to go, and I still have to do some things for them. So the job hasn't stopped, you know. I got a new job now, but I still got to take care of those tasks and those duties beforehand. So that has been probably the most challenging part. And, you know, all just being flexible. Lots of flexibility changes happening with, you know, add COVID on top of FTP, the optional lead labs, making sure people have their their uniform items, that they're prepared at the same time that they're getting quality training. You know, that we're not just giving them PowerPoints and things like that, making sure people are retaining information.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was definitely a challenging job. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience. I missed them yesterday being in the main building. I really did. But yeah, those were definitely some of the biggest challenges, at least I faced for FTP.
Okay, so with all those challenges, how do you think that helped? So you kind of already answered the question earlier in saying that you have to learn how to step back and not micromanage, but like let your people under you do stuff because you can't do everything.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like I'm going to ask you right now, how did that prepare you to be a wing commander? But that's like the biggest thing about wing commander, from what I can see, is like letting people. You got to step back. You can't be in charge of everything. So like, could you elaborate on that? Like, do you agree with that? With what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I know, absolutely. And like I mentioned before, that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, is just trusting people.
Oh yeah.
You know, we painted this beautiful picture at the beginning of the semester. This is how we want it, but obviously you throw all these curveballs and stuff, and it's not going to come out the same. And
for sure.
And that's just probably because, again, you know, you want to make things perfect, but then you realize like it's not going to be perfect. It never will be, you know. But we can get close to it as much as we can. But at least from that part, yeah, you're right. I'm learning it right now. This is definitely a learning experience. ROTC is just a learning experience. Like I said, I'm glad I have the job. I'm happy. I'm grateful. But yeah, that definitely was one of the biggest. It's a big challenge that I'm going to have to overcome. That I am overcoming. That I think I've worked on great. I hope I, you know, taking my hands off. I do trust people now. I always have before. It's just sort of just, you know, keeping those checks and balances in place.
Nice.
At the end. But yeah, at least from that, I think it prepared me really well. A great experience for sure. Any POC job, I think, would prepare you well for any type of job at ROTC. We all face those same challenges, you know. You know, as PA, you probably had some last minute things you had to do, flexibility on top of other events, you know, things like that. Any job, any position, we've all definitely had to overcome things, especially like that, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with like all the 300s having to do, you know, deferred 300s doing FTP and everything. Yeah, we've had a lot. We definitely had a lot of work. So
yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'll bring it back. That was also a little, a big challenge too, is that mixing, you know, adding my own personal peers,
yeah, that must have been hard.
Right? Mixing them in, and now all of a sudden, but I think they adjusted well. But that was definitely a big curveball. That's something I've never done before. You know, you're always used to like, I knew none of the 200s, right? So that benefited me in a way where I was unbiased, and I can just look at them as a training setting. But then, you know, you add in your own peers that like, we're in AS class together, you know, so 1 minute I'm over here like...
I didn't even think about that.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're training them here, and then the other minute we're all on Zoom, you know, all happy and jolly.
So you're going from being in AS class to being in charge of them. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, they were great. I love my class. I think it was a good semester. It was a great semester.
Cool. Okay, nice. So coming off that, what motivated you to decide to apply for Wing Commander?
Oh, man.
And hey, if you got multiple, give us all of them. We got time. We're on time.
Honestly, Kat Medina, if you're watching, I'm going to give you all the credit for this one. And that's just because during our midterm feedback that we had with, you know, each of your AS instructor, she was just going through all the things, and then she asked, like, what do you want to do next semester? And I was like, honestly, wherever you put me, wherever you need me, you can put me in, you know, PA, LRS, make me a flight commander again. I do not care. Put me wherever you want. I'll be happy. And she sort of, you know, said that, like, you should probably challenge yourself a bit more, you know?
And you're like, what does that mean? There's only like 2 jobs above being in charge of FTP.
And, you know, she was like, would you be open to, you know, perhaps applying for wing commander, this and that? And I really wasn't thinking about it at the time, you know? So I wouldn't say tunnel vision, but my focus was on FTP. I wasn't thinking about the future. And at least my future position, you know, I thought that sort of just happened by itself, as usually it does. And she brought up some good points, and she made me like start thinking about it. I'm like, there's not stuff that, a lot of great things happened this semester. I don't want to change anything at all. You know, some things just need to get tweaked and optimized, you know, not, But it made me think. It really did make me think of like, you know, I don't want to hold myself back or, you know, regret not applying. Because at the end, all it is just, you know, you put up a package, you know, hopefully you get picked up for the interview, get the interview, and just see what happens.
Okay.
And I think everybody should. They should apply for it, not necessarily to see what happens, but because at the same time, there were things that I saw that we could be doing a tad bit better or introduce some new things that we can be doing that we'll see for next semester. But I guess to answer the question, the biggest motivator was Kat Medina.
Cool. Okay.
She definitely inspired me. She sort of was like, you know, you can strive for more than what you think or what you're capable of.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like she was a positive influence. I know I'm actually going to get into some like the opposite of that in a little bit here, so that's cool. So you mentioned like making things better, improving things. Do you think that has something to do with a good amount, like for yourself and like a lot of people who apply for a job like this? Like when I'm thinking of like, you know, when I think of the person, what makes someone want to apply for a job like this, I think that a lot of the time, at least a little bit, is like they just do not like how something's being done, or they just have this vision or visions for all these different things, like, oh, this can be better, this can be better. So like, do you see some of that? Like, I know you said Kat Medina motivated you, but have you looked and seen things throughout the past couple of years and been like, oh, I think we could crush this if only I had the power to, you know, bring that change? Like, do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think this past year, with the constraints that the previous wing commanders have had, I think they've done an amazing job. I think what inspired me was next semester, you know, hopefully things are more in person. And that's sort of what like motivated me to, reminded me of my freshman year being here. I was like, I want that to happen again. I want us to be, you know, that experience that we experienced. And I know Cadet Okada, he probably knows more, and so does my class. I want this next class of AS-100s to get
real Air Force ROTC.
Yeah,
real DET 842.
Absolutely,
in
absolutely.
the lead lab, 200 people in the lead lab screaming, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no. What didn't motivate me was like, you know, all these bad changes or, oh, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that, because I think every semester is different for each wing commander.
Yeah,
they all have their own set of challenges, and fortunately for me, this next semester, you know, things will be more in person.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is my time. You know, I want to do all these things or bring back these things that we couldn't do.
Yeah.
For certain reasons, because it's outside of our control.
For sure.
That was the biggest motivator. At least that influenced that to want me to apply.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't mean in any way like make it better. I guess I just meant like absolutely. Improve. I know like you might have this idea like, oh, I'm excited. So that's nice to hear that your kind of main thing is let's get back to normal, because that's ROTC. Like that's the experience. Like it's harder work than going and sitting in a Zoom class, but to be honest with you, my week goes by faster when I was at 100 and I had to go do all that stuff. I'm working. I'm worried about my warrior knowledge before lead lab. You know?
Absolutely.
That's what ROTC is about for me. And as much as I hate standing at attention and getting yelled at or whatever, it's kind of fun, you know, like you kind of miss it. I get what you're saying. Like we're in lead lab yesterday and we only were able to have so many people in there, and you know, it was nice.
Absolutely.
And it was cool, and thankfully we got to do a change of command and everything with the guide on, but I'm definitely excited to see y'all be back in person, have all that real ROTC experience.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Now the 300s the 300s next semester and the 400s can really give like a real in-person experience, because the last class that's here that knows anything about what we are in person, like that knows anything about our real version of ROTC when we're not with COVID, is the 200s now. Have they been here at all during?
They have, yeah. They had one their AS-100 year, the first fall semester. That was full on.
So so isn't that crazy to think about? Like the 100s now, they don't even have any. They have any like idea of what it's really like. So I'm excited for y'all to.
Yeah, no, that's what has me pumped. And
with that.
to follow up on that too, it's like, you know, sort of reignite that like big community that we had. You know, I remember the DET would be flooded with people, right? It's flooded with people, you know, and I saw that a lot more this semester once like constraints kind of lowered and things like that, you know. And just getting that sense of community back again is the biggest thing that I want, and that will happen. And, you know, I'm not saying that wasn't there beforehand. It's just because the constraints, you know, we're in a global pandemic. You know, we have to operate in certain guidelines, things like that.
For sure.
But Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Sweet. Yeah, dude. That's awesome. I'd be excited too. I can't wait to see everything that happens and all that good stuff. Maybe Cadet Okada won't have to be live streaming everything. He can be a part of the training and stuff. Cool. Okay. So we talked about what motivated you. All right. You mentioned this already, but let's get more into it.
Oh,
How is
boy.
the application process? And were you nervous?
Whew.
That must be crazy. They sit you in a room, right? And who's there? Like what happens?
Okay, yeah. Application process. So, I mean, this is all public information. They send out the email to the entire wing.
Yeah.
Colonel Hoffman sends his intent or his vision. What his vision is for the detachment, and then Cat Medina has her own little guidelines of like send your intent. Hey, I want to fly for wing commander by a certain date, and then after that your package.
Mhm.
And within that package are the 7 lines of effort.
Okay.
And that's, recruit great people, develop ownership and partnership, all those things.
So do you expand on each of those and what you think they mean?
No. So what you do is you sort of align your vision with the commander's vision.
Okay.
It's a lot of aligning,
That's
sort
real
of like
thinking. Like you have to actually think about
absolutely. I think I spent, I'll be honest, probably a good solid 8 hours on that application. Just, it is a lot of thinking. You got to sit there and really think, how do I recruit great people and tie it in with the commander's vision and with my own vision,
That's not something you can Quizlet.
Absolutely not. No, not on Chegg. Not on Chegg.
No, that's crazy. That's a lot. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and then also your strengths and weaknesses. You got to sit there and you got to be honest with yourself. Or it's like, should I put this weakness? Would it make my application look bad, or would they see something else? But, if I give somebody that's applying, it's just being honest, just be yourself, right? Just be wholehearted, just be genuine about it. And they look at your package. I believe they send it to all the cadre members, and they rate them. After that, they give you some feedback afterwards. But then you get invited to the interview process. I was nervous.
So we're only halfway through the process.
We're halfway through the process. Yeah, by that time you're 4 hours in. You're typing.
You gotta get accepted first. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one thing. You can put all these hours in this package, and hopefully you get invited for an interview. Right.
Sheesh.
Right. That's what makes it exciting, though. Right. That's what makes it exciting. That's the fun part. And thankfully, I did get invited to be interviewed, and that was probably the scariest part. I was terrified. When I get nervous, like, you probably can't see it, but I get red. I get really red. And it's in this room, and they have just one chair just right there in the middle.
Oh.
And it's a board. It's like you have all cadre, and then you have the former wing commander and the former vice wing commander. They're also sitting there too.
Sheesh.
And yeah, you knock in, do your reporting procedures, full service dress. You sit down, at attention, and after that they ask you questions about your package. They ask other things, just really trying to get to know you and your thought process behind your package and what you want to do for the next semester if you were to get the job.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're doing what you said about like being you and being honest, then that doesn't sound too bad. Like the reporting and everything, I could see I'd be very scary, but when they start asking you questions, like I can imagine you just sitting there, like they ask you, oh, how do you feel about this? Or what do you mean by this? And you can just put it out there and just tell them, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the best piece of advice. They just want to know your thoughts. That's all it is, know? And that's why they have everybody there, because everybody there wants to know, like, what their thought process is, what they think about these certain things. And it's not a punishment of, like, just to make it intimidating. It's just, cadre, they just want to know what the potential wing commander's vision is for this upcoming semester.
For sure.
Along with the commander.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's pretty good. So you got to go through the whole process of getting invited for the interview, and then you get to come in.
Yeah, no,
cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if that's ever really been elaborated on, like, publicly. Like, that's probably something that people in the past have, like, helped out their buddies with, but I think it's awesome that we get to, like, get this on this platform.
I think
and now everyone's got that information. That's really cool, Maybe now some people might be less nervous about it or be like,
I hope so. I hope I don't get in trouble either for... I don't think I shared too much, but...
No.
I think it was...
Not at all. Not that you said too much. I just don't think we've ever really been able to give that information like that. Because, that's not something that we would brief at Lead Lab, right?
Absolutely. And I agree completely, of like... Whenever... You're right, you send your intent, like, all right, I'm applying for wing commander. what do I do now?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Cool. No,
and
I
that's
think that's good.
and that's whenever another tip and advice, since we're on that, that's when you reach out to anybody who applied that last semester, the following semester, and you ask them like, hey, could I maybe take a look at your package, this and that, you know. That's whenever you look at things and, you know, see how they did theirs, and, you know, you can kind of align your things to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that was like some of the most valuable stuff we've talked about so far. Hopefully some of y'all that might have been nervous or apprehensive about it, now you're feeling better and maybe throw a packet in next semester. Cool. All right, so we talked about the application process. Okay, so this is another good question that I really liked. Did anyone, like anyone you know, doubt your choice to apply for Wing Commander? Was anyone like, hey man, I don't think you should do it? Because I know we all have haters out there, you know, especially nice guys like me and you. Like they see us doing good, you know, getting better, doing whatever, and there's always people who are negative. There's got to be like at least one person who, not that you need to say who it is, but did you have anyone who doubted you?
I'll be honest, myself. I think I doubted myself the most. I was my biggest enemy of applying.
Okay.
I waited till, I'll just be honest and frank, I waited till the last day to send my intent. Because I knew once I sent that intent, I have to finish out what I'd started. Yeah. You know? I didn't want to... So I took those couple of days and I was really asking myself, is this something I want to do? You know, I don't want to disappoint anybody. You know, just a lot of thoughts going through your mind. It was nobody ever said don't. In fact, people were encouraging. You know,
that's
they were
good.
like,
that's what people want to be around.
Absolutely. And I think we have a great sense of community here of people wanting to do better. You know, they want you to do better and succeed. But
I agree.
The biggest doubter was myself.
Okay.
I was the one questioning will I be good enough? You know, just thinking about it. You know, because it is a big job. It's a big responsibility, and I was like, am I ready for this? You know, would I do a good job? And that's on top of like, would they even accept my package? You know, will I get interviewed? How will that go? Lots of thoughts. So, but once you overcome those things, and I was just, you know what? Send the intent. Whatever happens, give it my honest effort.
Cool.
You know,
nice.
And thankfully it worked out. Thank goodness. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So coming off that, then what would you have advice for cadets in our program, or anyone, I guess, but cadets mostly, who have people doubting them or that are doubting themselves, and how do you deal with that? Like, what would you say? What would your advice be on that for someone who has to go through that?
I think push yourself against the wall to where you can't go back. That's what I did. When I sent that letter of intent, I was like, there's no going back. I have to apply now. You know? Cool. And from there, that gets rid of the thoughts of like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. So I think that would be the biggest thing. Sort of just kind of not handcuff yourself in a way where like, okay, I have to fully commit now and see what happens.
Full send.
Full send, absolutely. Full send it. But at least that was my thought and mind process behind it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send it right here. And now I have to commit. You know, I already committed to it. I have to follow through.
Nice.
So that's what I would advise anybody. You know, if you're having any doubts, and it's probably because same thing. You know, you're worried about would I get accepted, and it's like, oh man, this is a lot of work. But if you think about it, it's just typing a couple pages of what you believe in. You know, it's coming from your mind, from your thoughts, what you see the detachment doing. There's no science behind it at all. You know, it's just, it all comes from you. It all comes from the heart. And I think everybody should take the opportunity to apply just to experience it. Even if they don't make it to the interview process, or, you know, the package doesn't get accepted, they can say like, hey, I applied for Wing Commander. You know, it's a you know, I can do this. That wasn't so bad.
For sure.
Right? If I didn't get the position, I would have been like, that wasn't like, once it was all over, I was like, why was I so worried? You know, all it was just, they just wanted to know my thoughts, my vision. That's all that it really was. It's a great experience. At least so far, it's been a great experience.
Cool. Okay. I agree with everything you said. And I think like one of the big things that I've learned recently from just life is like, I don't know if you agree, when I'm like doing my best in something and I'm trying and I'm bettering myself, I don't care what people think, you know? Like when we're going back to like doubters or doubting myself. Yeah. So I don't know if you feel the same, but like if you knew you spent 8 hours on that packet, there's nothing anyone can say to you that, you know, about, oh, I don't know if you'll get it, or, you know, you might not be ready or anything like that. So like that's just kind of something I've realized recently with anything in life, like bettering yourself physically, mentally, if you know that you're doing your best, you just don't care like what people think.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things, like I never openly advertised that I was applying for this position. Just it's something that you do on the side.
Yeah.
In the background, that's basically what I did. Just did that, took care of that on the side.
Yeah, cool.
Because I do have a job, which is FTP Squadron Commander, or Deputy Squadron Commander, excuse me. So just sort of and that helped too, because I really once you openly start, hey, I'm going to apply for this, I'm going to do that, at least my thought process is like, people are going to be asking you like, hey, how's it going? How's it this? How's it that? And you're sort of like, if you don't get it or if it doesn't go well, you be more disappointed in yourself. Rather, if you're just like, do it on the side, do it at my own pace. If it does happen, if it works out, that's great. If it doesn't, oh well, life goes on. And you take something away from it.
Okay. So coming off that, I guess we could have asked this question earlier, but the follow-up is good. So I guess, did you have well, you've already answered this, but so you said you didn't really, this wasn't a thing that you were like, oh, I'm a 100, I'm going to be wing commander. It just kind of happened, right? Mm-hmm. So coming off of that, what do you have to say to cadets who want to hold higher level positions, like wing staff, wing commander, you kind of I guess if you could just kind of wrap up everything that you've said in the past 20 minutes, like you've said, don't doubt yourself is a big part of it. Like, what else do you have to say? Like, just do it. You said full send. What else? You got anything else for anyone who might be like looking at this kind of stuff in the next semester in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. And just embrace whatever position they give you in ROTC, whatever job that is, whether that is just being a flight commander or deputy flight commander. Really take ownership of that job and just try your best at it, and try to put yourself in uncomfortable situations the most that you can to just build up that confidence. And that's probably why I didn't want to do it, because I lacked that confidence of just wanting to apply, because it's something I'd never done before.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that just goes for life in general. Just putting yourself in, trying different things, getting pushing yourself to again expand that barrier more and more and more. So that way you have less doubt in your life and more of just, doing things.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right. So for the next section of questions, and we'll take questions from y'all. I see somebody made a comment earlier, but if anyone has any questions for me, him, us, next semester, whatever, just drop them in the chat. But leading on to the next section, I kind of have like a plan section.
Okay.
We'll just go over like what you want for the detachment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what you kind of told us yesterday, or from what I heard, the main goal of your talking to us yesterday on stage was like just really positive. We're a family. You're excited for everything to be back. So, like, what is your vision for the detachment as a whole? I mean, what do you want to do with like our detachment next semester?
Absolutely. The biggest thing is community, not just within the detachment, but outside of it. We weren't able to do that again this past year through the global pandemic, but there's so much good that we can do, not only for ourselves as a DET, but also outside for other organizations, like Habitat for Humanity, sure. Take on projects like Wounded Warrior, just doing more selfless things for ourselves and the detachment as a whole. That is probably the biggest thing that that Colonel Hoffman and myself do align with. Cool. And I think it's super tangible, and I think everybody can get behind it. Like, who doesn't want to help other people, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And that goes along with what we started talking about at the beginning with Texas. Like, we're just, be nice to people.
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
put any negativity out there. And I'm sure that whole thing really came up a lot in the interviews. If you said that aligns with what kind of Colonel Hoffman said when they were kind of matching up your intent with the commander's intent, I'm sure that was probably a big part, for sure, right? I mean, kind of how those things lined up with the community and all that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're fun, too. I remember, at least, whenever we were all fully in person, just going out and volunteering for these things. And it was fun, it's like everybody's in like civvies, POC, messing around. Like, we're all humans, we're all getting along.
For sure.
So it provides that also sense of just community.
Cool.
We're all there together. Yeah.
Okay. So just breaking it down, I'll go, what is your kind of like vision for the POC specific? Like, what do you want to see out of POC?
Absolutely. Oh boy. What I want to see with POC, at least, I consider all of y'all like my peers. You're all family. You're all friends. The biggest thing is, regardless of what position you guys get put in the org chart, I want you guys to know that there was a thought process behind it. We put you there for a reason because we know you're going to do great things in it. Whether it may not seem like it's as important, but the biggest thing is that I want people to know that like whatever decisions that we make next semester, that they trust that I took the time to think about them, right? And like not really question it, but sort of just roll along with it, so they can say like I'm sure he thought about it. Let's just roll with it. There's a thought and process behind it. But overall, just the biggest vision is just attitude. I hope we all just stay positive. We don't look at this as a chore. I think it's super easy for us to look at ROTC and our POC jobs as a chore. We're like, I have to do this. I have to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. When it shouldn't be, like I said, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to wear this. It's a privilege just to be sitting here and talking to you and everybody else. It's just being grateful.
Yeah, for sure. That goes right back to the... Or were you going to say something?
No.
I was just going to say that goes right back to the Bloomer You Planted type deal. Just, and then being more confident in yourself because you're giving your 100%.
Yeah.
If you're not giving your 100% because you don't like the job or you don't think you fit there, it just brings everything down. You start doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to the negative stuff, and you won't really have any focus on the positives and all that. And we've all been there. Not for a whole semester at a time, but everyone's had maybe like a couple hours or two during the semester where you're like, oh my gosh. But yeah, for sure. So I think that definitely goes back to just having a positive attitude and putting out good instead of negativity.
Quality work, positive attitude, and everything else should just fall in place naturally.
Yeah, cool. As easy as that sounds, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so you got your little vision for the POC class. What about GMC? Like, what do you see for them? What do you want to do for them?
Oh boy, for my rising 200s that are looking at it, the 100s, I guess this semester becoming 200s, definitely I want them to start taking on more of like, they are now sophomores, their second year here. They're now taking that lower level leadership role, mentorship role for this new AS 100 class we're coming in. And at least for me, my vision for them is, again, come back excited. I think it's very easy as GMC, especially, you're still sort of young in your college days. You're still trying to balance things out. To just stay positive. And I think there's just all throughout, just staying positive, have a good attitude with everything, a good approach, because it's very easy to think that like, why am I doing this? Why am I forming up? Why are we marching here? It's very easy to start getting those negative thoughts, but I want them to think about whole big picture wise. I don't want them to get too tunnel vision and like, why are we doing this? This sucks, right? More of like, I'm doing this for a reason. There's a purpose behind it. Open-mindedness. I want them to be very open-minded of what they're going to experience next semester and until they commission. So
cool.
At least that's my vision for them.
Nice. And then I think what really says a lot about you and your plan that's a really positive thing is obviously the POC are important and you have a plan for that, but your main vision for what you said earlier with kind of getting back in person, that matches up with the GMC, and it sounds like you're very focused on making sure that GMC have a really good like learning, because that's the POC, we can still perform and we can still grow as leaders, but we've done field training. It's time. That's what the POC is to train and help the GMC. So I like that. Like, I think that really fits in with your plan well.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I don't know if you feel me, like you get what I'm...
I do, no. It makes perfect sense. Cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. GMC. You got big expectations. Sounds
do.
Good.
No, they do. I for sure will be looking at them a lot.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So this is kind of like a we gotta ask it thing. I know you can't like say it yet necessarily, but how is your wing staff selection process coming along? How's it going?
It's coming along. Okay. I'll leave a hint. If you're going to the dining inn.
Oh.
If you're going to the dining inn, you will know.
There you go.
There we go.
Hopefully you sign up for our dining in.
I hope so too.
Cool. Okay. And are you excited? I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer, but are you excited to show them off and use them to the best of their ability?
They're all great people. They've all earned and deserved. They're passionate of it. I'm very happy. I'm very excited. I sent a message out earlier this morning to them, expressing to them how happy I am and excited to work with them. They're all very talented people, a very diverse group. Lots of different minds, which I think is great. You want to get different perspectives on things before you take on big decisions. So I am very excited. I think it's going to be a great team. They're all great people, and you guys will find out today.
Cool.
At the dining inn. If you're at the dining inn.
Cool. Okay. Sweet. So that's fun. Excited to see that. I'm excited to see who you picked. And then we got to ask this question. Do you plan on keeping the podcast around next semester? Are you like, what do you think about PA? What's your plan for PA? You want to keep it going?
My first order of business will be to shut this entire thing down. I want it gone. No more podcasts. No, I'm kidding. No, this is something that's going to stay and stick. I hope for after I commission and with the previous class commission, I think this needs to stay. And it needs to stay in the DET permanently.
Cool.
I think this is great. This is great. People benefited a lot. All the guests you guys have.
We had some pretty gnarly guests.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just all the advice and wisdom, different perspectives. It's something that has to stay. Not because for entertainment purposes, but again for educational stuff too. We can learn a lot from picking those people's brains that have done successful things in their careers.
For sure. Cool.
But
Yeah,
no,
I agree with that.
It's staying.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, well, just hit up me, Cadet Okada, or Cadet Mejia, whoever needs help next semester. I'll come in and help y'all run it if you need it, if you're going to do it. Sweet. All right. Well, is there anything else that you had? I think we'll just cut it right now. We'll wrap it up right now if that's cool. But is there anything else you wanted to say? I know we've already got you on your plan. You had to say something yesterday at Lead Lab. But
Right.
Any final words you got before we close it down?
Same thing. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very happy that you guys selected me. It's my turn to, again, give back to you guys as much as I can. That's what it is, you know. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everything you guys do, and I do look forward to next semester. It's going to be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to everyone who watched the podcast this semester. Make sure you get your feedback to us or whoever the next group is. And that'll be it. We'll wrap up the final podcast this semester. Thank you all for watching, and thanks to Detachment for coming out. Awesome.